I answered the phone on the third ring. It was 3:47 in the morning, and at 63, I've learned that calls at this hour never bring good news. Hello? Static crackled through the line. Then a woman's voice, professional but urgent. Is this William Harrison? Mr. Harrison, my name is Patricia Rodriguez. I'm a social worker at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. I'm calling about your daughter. My hand tightened on the phone. The empty apartment suddenly felt smaller. My daughter? The words came out flat. My daughter died 31 years ago. There was a pause. Mr. Harrison, I understand this must be shocking, but the woman here has identification. She says she's Jennifer Harrison. She has a birthmark on her left shoulder blade, shaped like a crescent moon. She says you used to call it her lucky moon when she was little. I stopped breathing. Nobody knew about that. Nobody except family. We'd never mentioned it in any missing person reports. It was our private thing, something I'd made up when Jenny was 3 years old, terrified of the dark. Mr. Harrison? I'm here. My voice cracked. Where is she? Harborview Medical Center, the psychiatric unit. She was brought in 2 days ago. She's stable now, but she's asking for you. She says she finally knows who she is. Seattle was a 4.5-hour drive from Spokane. I'm on my way. The drive to Seattle was the longest of my life. I kept the radio off, needing silence to prepare myself for whatever I was about to find. Jennifer had been 17 when she disappeared. December 14th, 1993. She'd told us she was going to a friend's house after school. We found out later she'd actually gone to meet a boy, an older guy who worked at a garage. They'd had a fight. He left her at a bus stop on 3rd Avenue at 11 p.m., angry and alone in one of the worst parts of the city. She never came home. For 3 years, we searched. Margaret stopped sleeping. I stopped everything that wasn't work or searching. Our marriage didn't survive it. We divorced in 2010, 17 years after Jenny disappeared. Margaret said she couldn't live in the shadow of a ghost anymore. She wasn't wrong. Then in 1996, they found remains. Female, approximately 17 to 19 years old, discovered in a wooded area outside North Bend. The forensics team said they were 70% certain it was Jenny. 70% had been enough for Margaret. She'd wanted closure, wanted permission to move on. We held a memorial service, buried an empty casket, but I never believed it. Couldn't explain why. Margaret said it was denial. Our sons, David and Michael, eventually stopped answering my calls when I'd bring it up after a few drinks. 14 years living alone gives you plenty of time to second-guess every decision you've ever made. I reached Harborview just after 8 in the morning. Patricia Rodriguez met me in the lobby, late 30s, kind eyes, the sort of face that had seen too much suffering and remained compassionate anyway. Mr. Harrison, thank you for coming. She shook my hand. I need to prepare you. Jennifer has been through significant trauma. She's had a dissociative episode, triggered by recovered memories. She's been living under a different name for the past 3 decades. What name? Melissa Carter. She's been in Seattle the whole time, working various jobs, homeless intermittently. 3 days ago, she saw a poster, one of the old missing person posters for Jennifer Harrison. Someone had shared it on social media. When she saw the photo, something broke open. We walked through corridors that smelled of antiseptic. She's been having flashbacks, Patricia continued. A house with blue shutters. A mother who made cinnamon rolls on Saturday mornings. A father who built her a treehouse but was afraid of heights himself. I stopped walking. The treehouse. I'd built it the summer Jenny turned 9. She'd laughed watching me shake on the ladder, gripping the rungs so tight my knuckles went white. I built that treehouse, I said quietly. I was terrified of heights. Patricia's expression shifted. Then you should know. She's scared. Scared you'll be angry. Scared you won't believe her. Or worse, That you will believe her and won't want her back after all these years. She stopped outside room 412. She's in here. The room was small. A woman sat in the chair by the window, backlit by morning sun so I couldn't see her face clearly at first. She stood when I entered, slowly, like her legs might not hold her. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She was 48 now, not 17. Her hair was shorter, darker, streaked with gray. She was too thin, her face lined with years I hadn't witnessed. But her eyes were Jenny's eyes, gray-blue with flecks of green, the same way of looking at you, direct and slightly defiant, even when scared. Dad? The word broke me open. I'd imagined this moment 1,000 times. In my imagination, I'd always been strong, calm. Instead, I stood there shaking, tears streaming down my face, unable to form words. She took a step forward. I don't remember everything yet, but I remember you. I remember the treehouse. I remember you teaching me to ride a bike, how you ran behind me for 3 hours even though your back was killing you. I remember the Narnia books before bed, all the different voices. Jenny, I don't know if I can be her again. Her voice cracked. I don't know if I'm still that person. I crossed the distance and pulled her into my arms. She was stiff at first, then collapsed against me. She smelled wrong, not like my daughter, not like strawberry shampoo and too much perfume. She smelled like hospital soap and fear and decades of hard living. But when I closed my eyes, I could feel the shape of her, the way her head fit against my shoulder. You're alive, I whispered. You're alive. That's all that matters. We sat, her in the chair, me on the edge of the hospital bed. Slowly, she began to tell me what she remembered. The night she disappeared, she'd gotten off the bus at 3rd and Pine, crying and angry. Someone had approached her. A woman, friendly, concerned, offered coffee, offered safety. Everything after that was fragments. Other girls, houses that moved, or maybe they'd been moved. Years of dissociation, of being Melissa Carter, a fabricated identity with fabricated papers. Years of survival, of doing what she had to do to eat, to sleep, to stay alive. The memories had been coming back in pieces over the past 5 years. Dreams about blue shutters, about cinnamon rolls, about a father afraid of heights. But it wasn't until she'd seen that poster 3 days ago, her own 17-year-old face, that everything came crashing down. I lost myself completely, she said. Patricia says it was a psychotic break, but it felt like waking up, like I'd been asleep for 31 years. I listened without interrupting. Some of what she said was confused, fragmented, but there were details no con artist could have known. The way I always burned the popcorn on movie nights, the scar on her knee from falling off her bike at age 7, the stupid argument we'd had the week before she disappeared about her curfew, how I'd said she was grounded and she'd screamed that she hated me. I didn't hate you, she said now. I need you to know that. I know, sweetheart. Patricia knocked, apologetic. Jennifer needs to rest, and Mr. Harrison, there are practical matters we need to discuss. We stepped into the hallway. We'll need a DNA test to confirm her identity, Patricia said quietly. The police will want to interview her about the trafficking, and she'll need extensive therapy. This integration process will take months, maybe years. Whatever she needs. There's something else. The remains you buried in 1996. If Jennifer is alive, someone else's daughter is in that grave. Someone else's family deserves to know. I hadn't thought about that. For 31 years, we'd mourned Jenny, but somewhere, another family might still be searching. I'll contact the police today. Patricia studied me. Are you prepared for this long term? Jennifer isn't the girl you lost. She may never be that girl again. She's a 48-year-old woman with 3 decades of trauma. She's my daughter, I said. I've had 31 years to grieve her. I'm not wasting another second. I called Margaret from the parking lot. There was a long silence when I told her. Bill, are you sure? We've had calls before. It's her, Maggie. She knew about the treehouse, the lucky moon, things we never told anyone. I want to believe you, but I need to see the DNA results first. I can't go through losing her again. I understood. Margaret had buried Jenny once already. She'd moved on, remarried briefly, built a life without the constant searching that had consumed me. I'll let you know when the results come in. Have you told the boys? I hadn't. Not yet. You should. They deserve to know. I called Michael. He answered on the second ring, professional and clipped. Dad, is everything okay? I need to tell you something. They found her. Jenny. She's alive. Silence. Then, Dad, we've been over this. Jenny's dead. We buried her in 1996. That wasn't her in the grave. Jenny's at Harborview right now. I just saw her. It's really her. Dad. His voice had that careful tone people use when talking to someone they think is losing it. This isn't healthy. She knew things, Michael. The treehouse, the lucky moon. Things only Jenny would know. That information could have been leaked. You don't know. I know my own daughter. He sighed. I'm coming to Seattle. Don't do anything until I get there. Just wait for me. He hung up. David didn't answer when I called. I left a message. David, it's your dad. Call me back. It's about Jenny. It's important. The DNA test took 10 minutes to administer and 2 weeks to process. Those were the longest 2 weeks of my life. I stayed in Seattle, got a motel room near the hospital. Visited every day, though Jenny refused to see me. Patricia delivered the news on the third day. Jennifer is asking that you not come back right now. She needs time to process. I just want to help. The best way you can help is by giving her space. So I waited, sat in that motel room with its water-stained ceiling, watching bad TV, trying not to think about all the ways this could still fall apart. Michael showed up on day 4, his face set in grim determination. Where is she? At the hospital. She won't see me. He nodded. I'm hiring a private investigator. Don't argue. If she's real, the PI will confirm it. If she's a con artist, I'm protecting you from getting scammed. She's not, then the PI will prove that. David showed up 2 days later, looking worse than I'd seen him in years. Unshaven, eyes red-rimmed. Is it true? He asked. I think so. We're waiting on DNA. He sat heavily on the motel bed. We hadn't been this close in years. You know what the worst part was? He said quietly. It wasn't that Jenny disappeared. It was that you did too. You were right there, living in the same house, but you were gone. You were more focused on finding her than on the kids you still had. The words hit like a punch because they were true. I know, I said. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, David. Are you? Or are you just sorry now that there's a chance you might get her back? I didn't have an answer. He left an hour later without saying goodbye. The DNA results came back on a Tuesday. Patricia called me into her office. It's a match, Mr. Harrison. Jennifer is your daughter. I nodded, unable to speak. There's more. The police reopened the investigation into the 1996 remains. They extracted DNA and ran it through the database. The girl in the grave was Sarah Mitchell. She went missing from Tacoma in 1995. Her family has been notified. Another family. Another father who'd spent decades not knowing. At least now they would have answers. Has Jennifer agreed to see me yet? Patricia hesitated. Not yet, but she asked me to give you something. She handed me a sealed envelope. My name in handwriting I didn't recognize. Neat, careful letters. Nothing like Jenny's teenage scrawl. Inside was a single page. Dad, I'm not ready to see you yet. I know that doesn't make sense. You're probably wondering why I called for you, why I'm pushing you away now. The truth is, I'm angry. I'm so angry. And I know it's not fair. And I know it's not your fault. But I can't help it. Where were you? For 31 years. Where were you? I know that's not reasonable. I know you searched. I know you did everything you could. But I was alive. I was alive the whole time, and you buried someone else and moved on. I'm not ready to forgive you for that yet. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. Maybe it's better if you just forget about me again. Jennifer, I read it 3 times. Each time felt like a knife to the chest. She's wrong, I said, looking up at Patricia. I never moved on. I never stopped looking. Then show her. Don't tell her. Show her. It took me 2 days to drive back to Spokane, pack what I needed, and return to Seattle. I'd kept everything in storage after the divorce. Boxes of files, newspaper clippings, maps marked with search grids, notebooks filled with leads and dead ends. Margaret had begged me to throw it all away, said it was unhealthy. But I couldn't. Now I understood why. I showed up at the hospital with 3 cardboard boxes. It took 2 trips from the car, my back protesting with each load. "What is it?" Patricia asked. "Evidence. Everything I've done for the past 31 years, every search, every lead, every sleepless night." Patricia looked skeptical but agreed to pass them along. I waited in the parking lot for 3 hours. My phone rang at 6:47 p.m. "Patricia, she wants to see you. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I didn't sleep that night. At 8:50 the next morning, I stood outside room 412, hand raised to knock, frozen. The door opened before I could work up the courage. Jenny stood there. She'd been crying, her eyes red and swollen. "I read everything," she said quietly. "All of it. The notebooks, the maps, the newspaper clippings, the letters you wrote to me that you never sent. All of it." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. "There are over 5,000 pages in those boxes, dated entries going back to December 15th, 1993, the day after I disappeared. Every single day for 31 years, you wrote something. Even after the funeral. Even after Mom remarried. Even after everyone else moved on." "I couldn't stop," I said. I didn't know how. Her face crumpled. Suddenly she was crying, her whole body shaking. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I said those things in the letter. I was angry, and I blamed you, and it wasn't fair. You never stopped looking. You never gave up." I pulled her into my arms, and this time she wasn't stiff or uncertain. She held on to me like I was the only solid thing in a world that had shifted beneath her feet. "I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner. You found me. That's what matters." We stood in the doorway while nurses walked past, politely pretending not to notice. We sat inside and talked, not about the trauma or the missing years. Patricia could help with that. We talked about small things. I told her about the years after the divorce, the empty apartment in Spokane, the business I'd eventually had to close because I couldn't focus, the way I'd driven to Seattle every few months just to walk the streets where she'd disappeared. She told me about Melissa Carter, the life she'd built out of necessity, the jobs she'd worked, waitressing, housekeeping, anything under the table. The times she'd almost figured out something was wrong, but the memories slipped away. "I feel like I've lived 2 lives," she said. "Jenny Harrison died at 17. Melissa Carter lived for 31 years. Now I'm supposed to be Jenny again, but I don't know how." "Maybe you don't have to be," I said. "Maybe you can be someone new, someone who's both, and neither." She smiled. Small, fragile, but real. "That's very philosophical for 9 a.m., Dad." Dad. The word still made my chest ache, but in a good way now. Jenny agreed to meet her brothers on a Saturday in early May, 6 weeks after that first phone call. We met at a park near the hospital. Patricia came for support, hovering nearby but giving us space. David and Michael walked up the path together, both looking nervous. Michael kept adjusting his glasses. David's hands were shoved deep in his pockets. Jenny tensed when she spotted them. Her hand found mine and squeezed tight. "You don't have to do this if you're not ready." "I'm ready, I think." Then Michael was there, standing 5 feet away, just staring. "Hi, Jenny," he said. His voice cracked on her name. "Hi, Michael." They looked at each other. Then Michael started crying, not sobbing, just tears streaming silently down his face. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. I gave up on you. We all gave up, and you were alive the whole time." Jenny let go of my hand and stepped forward. Then she was hugging her brother, both of them crying. David hung back, uncertain. When Jenny pulled away from Michael, she looked at him. "You're David?" "Yeah." He cleared his throat. "I'm sorry, too, for giving up, for being angry at Dad all these years, for not giving up." "Everyone gave up except Dad," Jenny said quietly. "I can't be angry about that." We sat on a bench and talked. It was awkward at first. Too many years, too much trauma. But slowly, we found our way. Michael told her about his husband Ryan, their adopted daughter Olivia. David told her about his divorce, his struggle with drinking, his determination to get better. 3 weeks sober now, 90 meetings in 90 days. "I'm doing it because of you," David said. "Because if there's a chance we can be a family again, I want to show up as someone worth knowing." Jenny's eyes filled with tears. "I have a niece and nephews, Emma and Jake, right?" David nodded, stunned she'd remembered. "Would you want to meet them sometime?" "Yeah," Jenny said. "I'd like that." The police interviews started the following week. Jenny testified in closed session. I waited outside with Patricia, holding cold coffee, trying not to think about what my daughter was reliving. When she came out, she was shaking, pale. Her eyes had that distant look I was learning to recognize. We went to a diner down the street. She wrapped her hands around her mug and stared into it. After a long silence, she said, "They asked me about the man who ran it, the whole operation." I waited. His name was Vincent Torres. He recruited girls, mostly runaways, had a system, a network, safe houses all over the city. My hands tightened on my mug. "Where is he now?" "That's the thing." She looked up finally. "He's still here, in Seattle." The detective showed me a photo. He's a real estate developer now, successful, owns half of South Lake Union. Something cold and sharp settled in my chest. They can't touch him? They're trying. But it's been 31 years, Dad. Evidence is gone. Witnesses are dead or scattered. My memories are fragmented. His lawyers are saying I'm unreliable, mentally ill, making it all up for attention. I know. But that's how it works. Men like that don't face consequences. They just build new lives and pretend the past never happened. I thought about that for days. Thought about it while Jenny struggled through therapy. Thought about it in my motel room at night. Vincent Torres. I looked him up online. He had a website, social media, photos of him at charity galas, shaking hands with city officials, accepting awards for community development. In every photo, he was smiling. I thought about the gun I'd kept since my army days, locked in a safe in Spokane. I'd been meaning to get rid of it for years. On a Thursday afternoon, I drove back to Spokane, retrieved it, and returned to Seattle. I found Torres in a parking garage on a Tuesday evening, after 8. The garage was mostly empty. I'd been waiting for 2 hours, the gun in my lap, trying to decide if I was really going to do this. When his Mercedes pulled in, something clicked into place. A cold, calm certainty. I got out as he was locking his car. "Vincent Torres?" He turned, looked at me with mild curiosity. He didn't know me. Why would he? I was nobody to him. "Can I help you?" I pulled out the gun. His expression changed. Confusion, then fear, then a practiced calm that told me this wasn't the first time someone had pointed a weapon at him. "My name is William Harrison," I said. "You took my daughter 31 years ago. Her name was Jennifer." Recognition flickered across his face, then calculation. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't. My hand was steady. Don't insult me by lying. Jenny told the police everything. They might not have enough evidence to convict you, but we both know you did it. He raised his hands slowly. Look, man, I understand you're upset, but you've got the wrong guy. I'm a developer. Check my website. I've seen your website, seen all the photos. Nice life you've built. 31 years of freedom while my daughter was trapped in hell. She was 17. Do you even remember her? Or were there so many girls they all blur together? Something shifted in his face. The fear receded, replaced by something harder. If you're going to shoot me, shoot me. Otherwise, put the gun down and walk away. I kept the gun pointed at him for another 30 seconds, watched him sweat. Then I thought about Jenny, about the look on her face when she'd read those 5,000 pages, the way she'd held on to me and said, "You found me." About David in rehab, fighting to be someone worth knowing. About Michael crying in the park. About all the time I'd already lost. All the years sacrificed to grief and obsession. I'd found her. After 31 years, I'd found her. I wasn't going to lose her again by throwing away what was left of my life on revenge. I lowered the gun. You're right, I said. This won't bring her back, but she's already back, and I'd rather spend my time with her than waste another second thinking about you. I turned and walked away, got back in my truck, and drove out of the garage. My hands didn't start shaking until I was 3 blocks away. I stopped at a police station on my way out of the city, asked for the detective handling Jenny's case, handed over everything I'd compiled on Torres, his properties, his associates, photographs, notes, connections. This isn't evidence, the detective said, flipping through my notes. Not even close. I know, but it's a start, and I've got 31 years of practice at not giving up. He studied me, then nodded slowly. We'll look into it. No promises. That was enough. It had to be enough. Margaret came to see Jenny in early July. I wasn't there for their reunion. That was something they needed alone. But Jenny called me afterward, her voice shaking. She looks older. I mean, of course she does. But seeing her made it real. I lost 31 years with my mom. You found each other now. That's what matters. She asked about you. Asked if we were okay. What did you tell her? I told her you never gave up, that you kept searching when everyone else stopped, that you saved my life. My throat tightened. I didn't save your life, Jenny. You survived on your own. That's the same thing, Dad. Margaret and I met for coffee a week later, halfway between Seattle and Spokane. It was strange, sitting across from her after all these years. We'd been divorced for 14 years, had barely spoken. She'd remarried briefly. I'd heard she was living in Portland now, working at a nonprofit. She looked good. Gray now, but there was peace in her face that hadn't been there when we were married. She looks like you, Margaret said. Jenny, she has your eyes. She has your smile. When she really smiles. It's your smile. We sat in silence, drinking terrible diner coffee. I'm sorry, I said finally, for being so obsessed with finding her that I lost you and the boys. You were right. I was more married to the search than to our marriage. I'm sorry too, for giving up, for needing you to give up too. You needed closure. I understand that now. But you were right not to need it. You were right to keep hoping. I'm so glad you never stopped looking, because if you had, she'd still be lost. We talked for 2 hours, about Jenny, about the boys, about the impossibility of going backward. I don't want to get back together, Margaret said as we were leaving. Too much has happened. We're different people now. I know. But maybe we can be friends, for Jenny's sake. Friends sounds good. We hugged in the parking lot, brief and careful. Then she drove back to Portland, and I drove back to Spokane, and we both carried on with our separate lives. But we talked regularly after that, about Jenny, about the strange miracle of getting a second chance. Vincent Torres was arrested in October, 5 months after I'd confronted him in that parking garage. The task force had kept investigating, following every lead. They'd found other victims, women who'd been girls when Torres trafficked them, women willing to testify now that they knew they weren't alone. Jenny got the call from the detective on a Thursday afternoon. She called me immediately. They got him, Dad. They actually got him. I could hear her crying through the phone, relief and vindication mixed together. That's good, sweetheart. That's really good. I don't have to testify. There's enough evidence without me. I don't have to see him again. You never have to see him again. We stayed on the phone for an hour, not really talking, just being together across the distance. Jenny moved into a small apartment in Capitol Hill in late October. It wasn't much, a studio with barely enough room for a bed and a table. But it was hers. The first place that had belonged to Jennifer Harrison, not Melissa Carter, in 31 years. She called me the day she moved in, her voice bright with something I hadn't heard before. Hope, maybe, or possibility. I have my own place, Dad. My own key. My own door that locks from the inside. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Will you come see it? For Thanksgiving, maybe? I'm not ready to cook a whole meal or anything, but I could try to make something. I'd love that. Thanksgiving came on a cold Thursday with the first hint of snow in the air. I drove to Seattle early that morning. David and Michael came too with their families. We crowded into Jenny's tiny studio. Me, Jenny, David, Michael, Ryan, Emma, Jake, and Olivia. It was chaotic. The apartment was too small, barely enough room for everyone. But it was perfect. Jenny was nervous. I could tell by the way she kept touching things, the wall, the back of the couch, the edge of the table, anchoring herself. Emma and Jake were shy at first, unsure how to talk to this aunt who was a stranger. But Olivia, at 5, had no such hesitation. She walked right up to Jenny. "You look like my Papa Mike," she announced. Jenny laughed, a real laugh. "I do?" "Yeah, you both have the same smile. Papa Mike says it's a Harrison smile. That means you're family." "Yeah," Jenny said softly, kneeling down. "Yeah, that means we're family." Dinner was simple. We ordered pizza because Jenny's oven didn't work right, and no one cared. We ate sitting on the floor, on the bed, standing up. The kids watched a movie on Michael's laptop in the corner. Afterward, when everyone had settled into food comas, Jenny pulled out a small bakery box. "I made something," she said. I wanted to wait until we were all together. Inside were cinnamon rolls. I called Mom and got her recipe. These probably aren't as good as hers. I had to call her 3 times to get it right, but I wanted to try. I took one, still warm, and tasted it. Not quite like Margaret's, a little too sweet, the cinnamon not quite even, but good. "It's perfect," I said. She smiled, that real smile, the Harrison smile. "I was thinking about the treehouse," she said quietly. "Remember how scared you were of heights? Why did you build it if you were so afraid?" I looked at her, at this daughter who'd been dead and was alive, who'd been lost and was found, who'd been Melissa and was Jenny and was herself. "Because you wanted one," I said. "Because you were mine, and I would have climbed Everest if you'd asked me to." Her eyes filled with tears. "That's good, because I think I might need you to climb a few more mountains before we're done. Then that's what I'll do. However many mountains, however long it takes. I'm not going anywhere." She hugged me then, fierce and tight. Around us, the apartment buzzed with life. David was showing Ryan something on his phone, both of them laughing. Michael was helping Emma with her jacket. Jake was asking Olivia if she wanted to play a game. This was family. Not the family we'd been 31 years ago. Not the family we might have been if Jenny had never disappeared, but family nonetheless. Broken and rebuilt, scarred but healing, imperfect but real. Later, after everyone had left and I was helping Jenny clean up, she stopped suddenly in the middle of the tiny kitchen. "Dad?" "Yeah, sweetheart?" She was quiet for a moment, looking at the empty pizza boxes, the crumpled napkins, the evidence of family and life and normal, beautiful chaos. "I love you." It was the first time she'd said it since I'd found her, the first time in 31 years. My throat tightened. "I love you too, sweetheart." I never stopped. She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I know. I read all 5,000 pages, remember?" We stood there in her small kitchen, her hand in mine, the scent of cinnamon still hanging in the air. Through the window, I could see the first real snow of the season starting to fall. Jenny was watching it too, her face peaceful in a way I'd never seen before. "It's beautiful," she said quietly. And I realized she wasn't just talking about the snow. She was talking about this moment, this second chance, this impossibly fragile thing we were building together. We'd lost 31 years. We'd never get them back. But we had now. We had whatever time was left, and I intended to make every second of it count, because my daughter came home. Not the same, not whole, not healed, but alive. And that's everything.